One thing I did last week that I would like to do again is I just highlighted a small little thing that the CIA and their cutouts and associated agencies have done in recent history. I talked about Timber Sycamore, which was a CIA operation that was functionally funneling a bunch of weaponry to ISIS. I talked about how that is not necessarily or could potentially be seen as a coincidence. They say that the weapons just ended up in ISIS's hands, but the reality is the CIA and intelligence don't let so many weapons just get into the hands of their enemies. They launder the weaponry through black market dealers to get it where they want to lose culpability. So this idea that the CIA was accidentally arming ISIS, you got to be very naive to believe that. And so I wanted to talk about another story about U.S. intelligence's involvement in society and culture and all that. So here's an article from Foreign Policy. This is from 2014. It's about 8 years old, but it's still relevant today, and I think a lot of people don't even know about this. So headline: Call of Duty star video game director takes unusual think tank job. Subheadline: The Atlantic Council's newest fellow has been a key strategist for several wars, all fought on gaming console and computer screens. Until recently, Dave Anthony was a director and writer for Call of Duty. And then from the body of the article it says, that's not the typical resume of an Atlantic Council fellow. The centrist think tank, which was founded in the 60s with a focus on NATO and now works on a broad range of international issues, in many ways represents Washington's classic foreign policy establishment. Past and present affiliates include Henry Kissinger, Condoleezza Rice, Chuck Hagel, and Obama cabinet officials. Obama. Now, you may be saying that, the Atlantic Council's not really CIA. I mean, they're generally pro-CIA, work with CIA. But later on in the article, we learned some really interesting things about what the Call of Duty directors, where they're sourcing information. Quote, while developing Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Anthony consulted with soldiers and military experts ranging from a member of the Elite SEAL Team 6 to Oliver North to Peter W. Singer, a leading expert on 21st century warfare now at the New American Foundation. Here's some other interesting stuff. The resulting game, which was released in 2012 and made $1 billion, is set during the Cold War and partly in 2025. Former Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega is suing the game's publisher for using his name and likeness without permission. I actually have plans to do a whole episode, or at least a big part of an episode, about Noriega in the near future. But, Noriega was a CIA asset for decades. Just putting that out there. And there's just a quote by this Dave Anthony fellow that is kind of insane. He wrote, quote, I love the culture of freedom over here, basically the American dream. I actually came from a very, very poor family in England and grew up in relative poverty, and I have now, here's the funny part, I have now created the best video game of all time and a vast amount of money. It's incredible, and I am very, very grateful and humbled by that. And then the article closes. Keep in mind, this article came out before the Vegas shooting, but he says something kind of crazy. Like, really crazy, considering what ended up happening. Quote, violence with a purpose is what he plans to conjure up during his visit to Washington next week for his inaugural Wow. Inaugural appearance as an Atlantic Council Fellow, Anthony has created a presentation that juxtaposes footage from the 2008 terror attacks on Mumbai with images of Las Vegas to suggest how easy it would be for terrorists to, quote, buy assault rifles, walk into a casino, and slaughter everyone. He hopes this will speak to people in Washington in a different way than they're used to being spoken to, in a very emotional and gripping way. He predicts that when faced with the need to prepare for these threats, Washington's response will be, quote, well, we can't afford it. And my answer is going to be, well, you can't afford not to. So that is... I really bring up this story to show that, like, these State Department ghouls, intelligence agencies, think tanks, just all of these freaking weirdos are totally enmeshed into our media. They put the messages they want into it, and they take people who willingly collaborate with them and put those messages in. They bring them into the government. They bring them into the fold. And you just got to be skeptical of your media, because this trend... This article's from 2014. It hasn't gone away, and it has not gotten better. It's actually progressed, and you can really see it by how much the military, U.S. State Department, etc., puts so much money and effort and messaging into Disney-owned movies. It's pretty freaking bleak.